After countless updates and many new brawlers, there are bound to be some facts. So today we're breaking down one fact for every brawler in Brawl Stars. Let's start off with the starter brawler, Shelly. When the second wave of star powers dropped, Shelly received her Band-Aid star power, and right now she heals 30% of her max health when she drops beneath 40% HP, but on release, this star power was absolutely broken. No one even considered using her Shell Shock star power. Back then, she would heal the full HP every time she dropped under 40%, making her extremely overpowered. We now know Colt is the guy with the iconic pink hair, but in early development, Colt actually went through several design changes. At one point, the team leaned heavily into the Western theme and experimented with giving him various cowboy hats. But as Brawl Stars evolved beyond that original Western setting and expanded into a much broader universe, the hats no longer fit the direction of the game. So they scrapped the hats, and instead, Colt's exaggerated helmet-like hair became his defining feature. Bull's standard attack is called Double Barrel, which is funny because he actually uses a triple barrel shotgun in his character model. Something else that's kind of funny is that the Bull is voiced by a guy named Bill Russell. Bull, pretty close. Right now, Brock leaves his incendiary flame effect on the floor when his rockets explode. These will cause damage to anything or anyone standing inside these flames. But did you know that this was originally a star power that was later turned into his main attack? I haven't played for a few years and I came back and saw this was part of his standard attack. Honestly, a pretty cool decision. I always thought that having a fourth rocket was way more valuable anyway, unless I was playing Heist or something, so good change. The maple barley skin might seem random at first, but actually it isn't. Maple syrup is famously associated with Canada, and the skin was released to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of Brawl Stars' soft launch in Canada. Nita is officially the younger sister of the brawler Leon, but that kind of is a Leon fact, so we'll give you another Nita-only fact. The Panda Nita skin is one of the earliest Nita skins and was released to celebrate the release of Brawl Stars in China. El Primo is Spanish for the cousin. Not sure why that's his name. Guess it sounds intimidating if you don't know Spanish. Poco's skull face design is heavily inspired by Mexican Day of the Dead, aka Dia de los Muertos, but that is something you probably already knew yourself, so let's throw in another fact. There was a glitch back in 2019 that allowed Poco to destroy walls in Showdown. I'm not sure if this was exclusive to Poco, but I could only find footage of Poco doing this, so there you go. Did you know that Rosa was so broken on release that almost every match was full of Rosas? But before I show you just how broken she was, please consider subscribing. This is the first Brawl Stars video on this channel, so, let me know if this is something you enjoy and if you want to see more. Anyway, because Rosa launched as a rare brawler, nearly everyone unlocked her within a few boxes, and if you didn't, you could just buy her for only 19 gems.
We've got another Rosa. Look, they only have 5,000 HP. Look at these poor Rosas. The gemming is out of control. Look at all of these Rosas right now. I need my damage reduction. Damage reduction has been activated. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Look at all of this damage going in. Another Rosa is going to activate her shield. I'm going to go in with my shield. It is Rosa Central right now inside of Brawl Stars. Oh my goodness gracious. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. It's only Rosas right now inside of this game.
But the real problem was her stats. She could charge her super in just 3 ammo, each dealing massive damage, and her super lasted 6 seconds while giving her an 80% shield. At max level, that basically meant that her hit points were boosted from 7,000 HP to about 3,500. For the first few days, she was basically unkillable and chaining supers like Stu. Rico's name comes from the word ricochet, which clearly refers to his attacks ricocheting everywhere, but Ricochet was actually the original name. It was about 6 to 7 years ago. Don't make a 6-7 joke, that's a dead meme. The team changed his name to Rico and gave him a cool redesign, but for the people who prefer the old version, they kept the old design with the OG Ricochet name. Jessie is confirmed to be Pam's daughter. Why does Dynamite have a bird? It's because this is actually based on an old mining practice where they took a canary down the mine in a cage. If the bird died or fainted, the miners knew they needed to get out of that mine quickly. You can extend Daryl's rolling time by rolling into a big pool of water. However, if Daryl can't get back to land on time, he'll get stuck in the water. Penny gets her name from her attack, where she shoots a bag of coins, pennies, at the enemy. She also inspired the firecracker from Clash Royale. Not sure if I like that though. There was a time when Tick basically had infinite ammo. His star power allowed him to reload so quickly that you would never run out of ammo and have insane area control. Carl used to be insanely broken in Heist. Back when the safe didn't get a shield in Heist, there was a period where Carl wouldn't have any cooldown on throwing his pickaxe again, so if the safe was directly next to a wall, he could do massive amounts of damage in only a couple of seconds. The classic 8-bit skin is likely a reference to the Nintendo Game Boy due to the same color scheme. Did you also know that 8-bit actually had one of his star powers removed? 8-bit used to have a star power that would allow him to respawn with full ammo and 3 seconds of invincibility, but only once. This meant that it was useless in pretty much any game mode, except for Showdown. He was absolutely broken in Showdown, and so, after many balance changes, it was decided to replace the star power with Plugged In. Jackie used to not be able to move at all when using her super. Her voice lines also make it seem like she swears as her curse words get censored by the drilling noises. However, the voice actor doesn't actually swear, and the voice actor actually says blueberry and other fruits.
Holy fruitcake! I'll stick a cookie in your face!
Gus's current description reads, Gus looks so much like a ghost child that he's often mistaken for one. Perhaps fittingly, he's an enthusiast of all things supernatural, since he's too innocent to be scared. But it used to be calling an abandoned train ride home. Gus loves balloons. As legend has it, one day he followed a floating balloon dog too far, got lost, and has been there ever since. Bo's super used to let him plant 4 mines at once, and there was even a glitch that let him spawn infinite mines. His totem could charge his super without decaying, making him brutal for trap-heavy plays. You can time his shots to dash twice in a row, and his head arrow even changes with his mood. Piper was the first new brawler added after beta, which made her feel really special. Lunar Piper probably nods to Sailor Moon with her making a heart shape just like the anime, and the pink Piper skin is maybe a reference to Princess Peach, but that's up for debate. As I mentioned in Jessie's section, Pam is actually Jessie's mom, but that's not all. There's actually a skin called Egg Pam, which is a legendary. The community requested meme skin for the Brawler Pam in Brawl Stars, originally as a concept by user Woodvilly in 2018. Years later, this skin was officially released as part of April Fool's content. Frank has the highest HP in the game, and with that, he was also the first brawler to cross 10,000 HP. Now, back in the early days of Brawl, he used to drop skulls that healed him after defeating enemies. That since has changed to give him a boost directly after killing an enemy. BB can double hit an enemy with her super if perfectly timed, which is super satisfying. Her description also lets us know that she is secretly a nerd, but has an image to maintain. B was the very first brawler to ever hit 3,000 trophies. Ems is all about being an influencer and being popular online. Her spraying attacks also kind of sound like the noise that Visco girls used to do back in 2019 to 2020. In general, she seems to be heavily inspired by those Visco girls, and please tell me I'm not the only one who remembers that. I already feel old. Nanny is Jessie's nanny robot, as is confirmed by the description reading that Nanny is made to keep an eye on Jessie. Gale was the first brawler unlocked through the Brawl Pass and used to be a chromatic brawler, meaning that at first he was hard to unlock as a legendary, then mythic, and eventually epic. This rarity has since been removed, and now he's just a regular epic. Colette is very obsessed with all the brawlers and is actually a cashier in Star Park. Her name might be Colette because she wants to collect a bunch of signatures and other things, but that's just a guess. Edgar ended up winning the 2023 World Finals despite being pretty terrible for years, and I know this isn't an actual fact, but his scarf reminds me so much of Gru's scarf from Despicable Me. Griff's super deals more damage the further it flies, and he's also the first brawler to get an early release challenge, where if you complete the challenge, you receive him for free. Grom has a player title that reads with one left hand, but in-game, we can see him throw with his right hand. Belle's attacks used to be able to chain infinitely, but were likely changed due to unaware players dying to it a lot. Ash has a cup on his head, which is the same one we can see in the modified game mode with the energy drinks. Ash was also temporarily disabled around May 2024 due to a game-breaking bug. This glitch occurred when Ash played alongside specific brawlers like Larry and Laurie, which could cause the game to crash. This issue allowed players to exploit the bug, causing forced crashes for opponents. Lola has a voice line saying, "The eyes, Chico, they never lie," which is a reference to the movie Scarface. Sam and Belle are married, and his full name is Sam Bronson, as stated by an older description. He's also one of the few brawlers to naturally start the match with a super. Bonnie is Janet's younger sister and part of Stu's stunt show trio. Mandy runs a candy store where she dresses in costume and dolls out sweet treats. She's a little too into the act and rules her candy kingdom with an iron fist. The Titanium Maze and Fuchsia skins are very obvious references to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, which is an anime where they do some amazing poses. If you use a jump pad, you can actually see the small shrimp pilot underneath Hank's bubble tank, one of the few times you can actually see him outside of the main menu and end screen. Pearl was originally supposed to be a mythic brawler. As you can see in the screenshot, she was originally placed between Doug and Mortis, who are both mythic brawlers. Larry and Laurie were absolutely broken on release, dealing incredible damage and charging supers very easily, but that wasn't all. You know what? Just look at this insane list of nerfs they received in one single update. Despite being a mosquito that sucks health, the real-life behavior is that only female mosquitoes suck blood, while Angelo is portrayed as a male, though it's believed that Angelo is non-binary considering the they-them pronouns. Barry is one of the few brawlers who can charge his super by healing himself and teammates with his puddles. This was especially overpowered in the SpongeBob event, where you would get a power cube every time you used your super. Combined with Kit, you could farm cubes and get crazy amounts of healing and damage. Shade is a mysterious pile of clothes that was actually discovered by Gus. In one of the official Brawl Stars animations, we can see that Meeple's forehead changes depending on his current mood, but it's more than just his mood. He can express himself by saying things like noob, learn to play, and a bunch of other random signs like hashtags, asterisks, hard word, and percentages to imply him cursing. Mortis used to need a star power to dash further. It used to be the snake coil star power, and without it, he had no way of dashing further than usual. Similar to Frank, he also used to have souls spawn to heal himself. Trunk has a very sad origin story. In the video revealing the new Brawler, we see two ants falling in love and getting married. During their wedding, the ant's wife tragically dies because Doug crushes her with his foot without realizing it. The ants swore to have their revenge and took control of a tree trunk, and that's how Trunk became the Brawler we know today. If you think about it, it's actually Doug who's responsible for this Brawler. Tara was released before the global release of Brawl Stars. However, even when it went global, she didn't have any voice lines yet. It took over 2 years for her to receive any voice lines. Jean used to have a different star power called Pat on the Back. This star power would allow Jean to use his super to heal allies for 2,000 hit points. But in the same month, not even 3 weeks later, it was replaced by Spirit Slap. This was likely done because the Pat on the Back star power proved not to provide a whole lot of value. Mr. P's Handle with Care star power is the only star power that doesn't have a porter in its icon. He also can be seen wearing a zipper, indicating that he might be human. Max can dash and take 0 damage during her dash, but she can still be affected by knockback attacks. Back when Sprout first released, his wall had lots of glitches and unintended interactions, but one of my favorites has to be the glitch where he could move the heist safe with his wall. All of Lou's abilities have a snowflake on them. There was also an issue with his super causing the game to crash whenever he used it. Talk about overpowered freezing attacks. In Eve's description, it says she'll do anything to protect her precious babies. She'll also do anything to give them a home, preferably in Ruff's fur. This means she's probably a flea, but I always thought that she was some alien due to her UFO-looking spaceship, which, by the way, has an air freshener inside. Brian has a snake on his staff, which is likely due to the poison he shoots at people, mimicking a venomous snake. Out of the 10 skins Ruffs has, including his default skin, Ruff's Chimney is the only one that doesn't have a tail. Ruffs is also the creator of the next Brawler. As the name implies, he is a squeaky toy and is created by Ruffs, which sounds cute at first until you read that he's made out of dog slobber. What is Ruffs up to when I'm not paying attention? The only nerfs Buzz has ever received were all to his hypercharge. In the October 2022 Brawl Talk, the devs directly confirmed that Buster is Fang's best buddy. Additionally, there are some of the brawlers seen with the largest amount of official art, posted by these social media accounts, usually receiving more interactions from the community in comparison to the others. Janet is Bonnie's older sister. Otis's super used to deal no damage at all. Buster uses a film projector to attack. That might seem obvious, but until doing some research for this video, I never knew what he was actually using. I just thought it was some science fiction weapon. Gray only has 6 voice lines, which are all him saying pew or a variation of pew. A bug allowed Crimson RT to deal split damage in normal form. If someone's holding their super and gets possessed by Willow, the super will automatically be used. This can cause Hank to, well, unalive himself. Doug used to deal less damage if enemies were outside of his attack radius. Chuck used to swear. In Italian, Scorpion Chuck used to have a voice line in Italian, and it says "Sti cazzi, mi è entrata della sabbia negli occhi," Sorry if I butchered that. I do not speak Italian. But in Italy, Stacazzi literally means fuck or shit. Charlie had a 100% ban rate at the World Finals. Seriously, she was so OP that she was banned every single match. Nico used to not take any damage when flying up. This meant that using it in Showdown last second would nearly guarantee you a win. Melody has 15 different movement speeds depending on fast beats, monster notes, and her hypercharge. These are all of the different values. Lily leaves no footsteps. Most brawlers leave footsteps wherever they go that will fade away after a couple seconds, but Lily doesn't, which means you can sneak around a bit easier. Clancy was an absolute nightmare on release, with his super dealing nearly 30,000 damage. His super could also charge within 5 attacks. Mo is a small, blind rat living in the sewers of Star Park by fellow brawler Grom. Grom took a liking to Mo and adopted him, and now Mo serves on the park's maintenance. Juju is technically the first brawler to stand on water. Everyone else hovers. Ollie gets his name from the fundamental skateboarding trick invented by Alan Ollie Gelfand in 1978, where the rider jumps into the air with the board without using their hands. Lumi's description says that she used to be a talented drummer but traded it in for Morning Stars. She's closely related to Draco and often seen romantically in animations. Finks is the owner of Star Park's escape room, and he also loves cats. Kid better watch out. In his spare time, Jae-young enjoys singing karaoke and even thinks he's a karaoke god. This, however, is not very accurate. Throughout Owlie's lifespan in the game, she has only received nerfs, except for one small health buff. Mina practices capoeira, which is a sport that mixes martial arts and dance. It's one of Brazil's biggest cultural exports worldwide. It combines elements of dance, acrobatics, music, and combat, and it is beautiful to watch. Ziggy only has one real skin, and that is the Warlock Ziggy skin. The Zap It Up and Dark Wizard are just recolors of the Warlock skin. Glowbird seems to resemble a deep-sea anglerfish, which makes sense as a deep-sea anglerfish creates light by hosting billions of bioluminescent bacteria within a specialized bulb, or esca, at the tip of its dorsal spine, like a fishing rod. Spike's attacks were random at first. This was changed into a set pattern before the global launch. Back in beta, we can see that Crow is one of the few brawlers who sent a love letter to Piper. Guess he wasn't the only one who wanted a piece of that cake. Leon's Toes and Nita are siblings. Leon was also one of the first super broken brawlers released, dealing insane damage and being completely invisible even when right next to someone. Sandy's super crashed the game. He used to be called Sleepy Boy, and his attack was changed from sand to sharp pebbles. Amber is the first brawler to have a main attack that fires a continuous stream of fire, rather than individual projectiles. Meg is an adult. Yes, I know, I used to think she was a little kid, but the creator of Meg, Paul, confirmed that she's actually in her 20s. Crazy. Chester is the only legendary brawler in Brawl Stars who can break walls, thanks to his Candy Popper super. Chester is also the brawler with the most attacks due to his super, allowing for a lot of different options. Cordelius was the first brawler to introduce the Shadow Realm, with brawlers like Lily following after. At the time, this was insane, and it reminded a lot of people of the anime Jujutsu Kaisen. Yoiki Tenkei. Ken holds the record for the brawler with the most rare skins in the game, with 7. His design is inspired by 1920s black and white cartoon characters. Draco's hypercharge name, Through the Fire and Flames, references the iconic song by the band Dragon Force, who also created a song for his release. Kenji is unique for having a 2-part attack cycle, alternating between a short-range dash and a large sweeping slash, and he can heal 40% of the damage he inflicts. I also can't help but mention how much he reminds me of Genji from Overwatch. I mean, come on, both are samurai characters with nearly identical names. Buzz and Pierce are both lifeguards, except Pierce shoots people. Yeah, I'm not so sure how good of a lifeguard that makes him, and is that P that he's shooting? Honestly, I don't even want to know. Kaze is the very first and only legendary brawler, and we haven't had any new rarities since chromatics were introduced in 2020. With all that being said, if you like this video, make sure to check out one of our other videos, which you can see on screen right now. I'll see you there.